right, so here we are at the start of our obstacle course. All right, again, we start at the board at this corner with the scooters. So once again, this board is for the students to keep track of how many laps they have completed. All right, and again, there's different ways that you can earn a token as well throughout the obstacle course. In this course that I have set up right now, there's only one other way to gain a token to drop in there, but I will get to that in just a minute. So once they complete an entire lap, they grab a token and they drop it into their row to keep track of how many laps they have completed. All right. Usually, excuse me. Usually to start, I will have them use the scooter just by sitting on it. All right. So we will just sit on the scooter. Everyone does the same thing at the beginning, and then again, you can kind of modify it towards the end and have them do it their own way. So first, though, I like to start out with them all doing the same thing. So I will just have them sit on it. All right. So we sit down on our scooter. Again, make sure you go over all these propers. Safety first, right? We don't want anyone getting hurt. So one of the main things that we need to make sure to tell them, of course, as all teachers, all of you probably know, make sure their hands are on the inside of the scooter. So we have our handles out here on the outside. Don't let them put their hand on the outside. So if they bump into someone else, they can really hurt their hand, even break a finger or something like that. So make sure they have their hand on the inside of this handle right next to their butts. All right? So we're just gonna start on our butt, and they're gonna go through the course that way first, all right? Then later on, if they wanna do it a different way, you can modify it and they can go on their knees, which does kinda hurt. So a lot of them probably won't do that, or you can also go and have them go on their chest, all right? So after a while, again, you can modify it, tell them to go on their knees, and then if they want to go, so they can go on their knees, they can use their hands to push themselves, all right? Or they can go down on their chest, all right? And again, that's another good modification you can do. So initially when you have them on their butt, they're gonna use more of their legs and their leg muscles, all right? And then if they're on their chest, then they're using a lot of their upper body strength as well. They're gonna use different muscle groups, using their arms, shoulders, things like that, all right? So it's a different way to kind of engage more muscle groups, which they probably won't even really know, right? But you can explain that to them as well. All right, good. All right, so then once we start is usually pretty easy. So to start, we just kind of start off nice and easy. So we have our first obstacle that we have to go around. So we'll be on our butt, we will go. We have to go around this step, all right? Keep on track, go around. When we make our turn, then they have to go underneath this one. So I have a couple stacks set up here, and then just a noodle across it, all right? So they go under this one. All right, however they're doing it, you gotta go under. All right, and another thing I like to stress during this is if they knock something down, if they knock one of the obstacles down, make sure you stress that they have to pick it up, all right? So it is their responsibility. If they knock something over, they have to go stop and pick it up, all right? Which is very important because, again, we're trying to get as many tokens as we can and get our laps in so we can put our tokens in, all right? So if you knock something over, it's gonna take you more time to get those laps done, all right? All right, so make sure you stress that. Next, you're gonna go around that obstacle, and then we get to our other corner where we're gonna take a turn. And then once we turn, we're gonna face this. So for this obstacle course, this is probably my favorite part of this one. Again, this is for my adapted PE class. So it's not a very difficult course. You can do so many different variations of what you wanna do and make it your own. But for this part, let me get this straightened out a little bit. So for this part, we come across, we went around our other obstacles, we made the turn, and we're coming up to our red mat. Our red mat means stop. So red means stop in this case, all right? So they're gonna go, get to their red mat, and they're gonna stop. They're gonna get off of their scooter, all right? They're gonna scoot over, get to the red mat, stop, get off their scooter. Then I have balls set up next to it. So we have our just basic balls. You can use whatever balls you have in your gym. In this case, we just have like the classic gopher balls, all right? So they grab a ball when they get off, and then they have to try and shoot it and make it into our bins, all right? You can have them throw it overhand, underhand. Again, that's another modification you can make. You can have them throw it underhand first, then overhand the second time, and then after a while, just have them do whichever they're more comfortable with, all right? So in this case, I usually just typically tell them to throw it underhand because it's a little bit easier. So they'll get off their scooter, and if they miss, you just tell them just keep going until you make it. So you keep going, you keep shooting until you make it. I usually have a couple cones set up in front too to know that they can't go past a certain point. But in this case, I'll just tell them, so that I don't have them set up right now. They get off their scooter, they can take one step forward, all right? Then they have a couple baskets to shoot at, all right? So let's say we're doing underhand, let's say I miss it the first time. So, I shoot, I miss, gotta grab it, come back, then shoot it again, all right? You can't just grab it and then just like go dunk it in the hoop. They have to come back to the spot where they initially shot it, all right? So then my second time I get it, we go over, toss it, oh, missed again, we gotta go run and get it. So we're running, we grab it, good. Last time, let's say I make it this third time. All right, I made it, all right? So once they make it, they then get to go back onto their scooter. So they can make it, then they get back on their scooter, then we make the turn, and then we have our last part of our obstacle course set up, all right? The reason this is my favorite part of the obstacle course and this course that I have set up is because I also have my red tokens down here. So for the Connect 4 pieces, I have my red Connect 4 pieces down here. So to modify this course, this is one modification you can make if you want to make it more difficult. Usually to start, I will just have them, give them as many tries as they need to make it, and then just go, all right? So we'll just start by, if you do a lap, and you finish a lap, you take your token or your Connect 4 piece, and you drop it in your row. So I might do that for like the first 5-10 minutes, see where they get, stop, and then explain this. So this part, I will have them then stop. Let's say it's the second round. They stop, they get a certain amount of chances to make their shot. So they're gonna throw it in the bucket. Let's say I give them 2 or 3 chances, all right? If they make it in those 2 or 3 chances, they get a token, all right? So they can grab a token and then move along, but they have to hold on to that token until they get to the end, all right? So then if they can use that token as well to drop into their row, all right? So then that way they can earn 2. So if they get this in the amount of times that I give them, they can get another token for the end to drop in, all right? And then you can make it even more difficult. You can give them, let's say, 1 try. You get 1 try, 1 shot. If you miss it, you don't get your token, all right? So once they get their token, we make it to our last part of the obstacle course, which is just our cones. All right, so we make the turn just past our mat over here. So we make the turn to come here on our last stretch. All right, so we just go in and out of our cones on our scooter. So let's say they're sitting on their scooter. We're just gonna go in and out of the cones, weaving through. In and out. All right, and then once we get to the end, you drop your token. So another thing I like to stress to make more difficult is if at the mat, they make their token, they get their token. If they drop it on their way through this part, before they get to the end, then they do not get to drop it and they lose that token, all right? So that's another way that you can make it a little more difficult if you would like. Again, if they drop it at the beginning, you can just say that's fine, pick it up and just take it to the end. But if you want to make it more difficult, you can grab the token, make sure that they have to have it in place till they get to the end.